Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We are back in the studio there again. If we were just here not long ago.
Yeah, that was Monday night. Yeah.
Yep,
So
Monday
just a little
night.
over 48 hours ago. Yeah, we recorded for Living Fully Loaded.
Yep, yeah. If y'all want to hear some more of maybe the angrier side of
Yeah,
us.
that one did kind of go off the rails a little. I won't say off the rails, but it trended in that direction pretty quickly. A little longer format, longer forms. That's the way you're supposed to say it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Longer,
Yeah.
longer form conversation with a little bit of farming sprinkled in there, and kind of ranted on several things.
yeah. It went multiple routes. I still got to get the YouTube video up of it. It's done very well. Like, people really enjoyed the angry side of the farmers, I guess. Like, it had a pretty good. I was kind of like, man, this one's done really good. So what's new in your corner?
Oh man, we're I guess a few new things. I'm officially out of the feeder cattle business for a few months. Had our last two steers, went to the processor Tuesday morning, and we've been basically done calving, but I had the last straggler finally calved on, I can try to remember, that may have been Saturday or Sunday. So done calving, been practically done for a while. I don't know, grass is growing. Cattle are kind of getting to more cruise control kind of year. That's where I've kind of struggled with my YouTube channel lately, where it's like, I feel like I'm just doing the same thing over and over again every day. I mean,
Yeah.
which is, it's kind of good, just from, the farm aspect. It's got to that point where it's slacking off a little bit, but yeah, as far as video content, it's not, I feel like it's not quite as good, but yeah, I don't know. What about y'all?
Man, we pretty much been watching it be wet forever, but I think
this is actually our first time we can record in a while that don't have to totally complain about it's like actively raining.
I know, yeah, it's and so that's what today I'm actually going to I'm gonna go out and check the place where I was planning to plant beans about 28 days ago. I'm gonna go check it today and see what it looks like. I may, if it looks good, I may try to start tomorrow. It's supposed to rain Saturday, so for reference, yeah. Well, I mean, this will drop in just a little bit, this episode. So I mean, yeah, I want to plant Friday. It's pretty, what is it, 50% chance of rain on Saturday.
It's late Saturday though, isn't it?
I don't know. It may be. That'd be good because I want to try to get. I'd like to get all this planted if I can. It's about 220 acres, and it's actually, it was funny. I was thinking about it, and I may have even touched on this on another episode, but it's pretty crazy to me to think about the fact that I can plant 220 acres in a day.
Yeah.
Like, because I remember, man, used to, like, the planter now that I use is a 40-foot wide planter. So, I mean, I'm covering 40 foot a pass, and that farm out there it's probably my best laying farm. So I can plant as fast as the planter will allow me to plant.
What speed do you plant at?
Man, I can plant beans. I plant beans in like 10th gear probably. I know corn I plant at 5.4 miles an hour. Because that gives me like the perfect spacing on that planter and everything. But beans, you can run a little bit faster than that. So that's what's wild, those high speed planters. I've seen videos of guys planting like 20 miles an hour. I mean, it's crazy. Like, there's one, it's called like High Speed International, and they make, I think all their planters are just high speed planters. And it's pretty crazy to watch.
Yeah.
And I mean, and they get a perfect stand, which we were just talking about it actually. I was talking about yesterday with somebody, and they got a belt in there. Like, it's pretty cool internal system. Like, it's belt fed. Like, most of the planters, like my 1245 is not a high speed planter, and it's vacuum fed. Like, there's fans on it, and it sucks the seed from the tank.
Yeah.
And then it's got discs, and the seed like falls down into these little slots on the disc, and it drops them out. And so, it's it's not like built for going really fast because you're relying on like the vacuum and kind of to get the seed there. The high speed planters, they got a belt in there, and I think they even have like a slot, and the seed, like the faster you go, the faster the belt turns, and it just keeps the seed rolling. So I mean, you can shag on, and I mean it's pretty crazy to think like I can plant about 20 acres in an hour, probably at 6 miles an hour.
That's what I was actually doing the math.
Okay.
So I think at 5 miles an hour, and this of course be if you're not having a turn or anything, like you're maintaining 5 miles an hour. So that's 5,280 feet. So you're driving 26,000 feet an hour, 26,400, and you're 40 feet wide. It's a little over 1 million square feet.
Yeah.
Divided by, I'm roughly doing it 43,000 square feet in an acre, which is a little over that. Be
24 and a half.
Yeah, about 24 acres.
So figure up if you were doing 10 mile. Well, I mean, you could just double it.
Yeah.
So 40, what is that? Dang, nearly 50 acres.
Now, of course, that's if you're not having a turn on your ends or anything.
Yeah.
Not losing any time.
So, I mean, but you still, so even shave off like you're turning like 38 to 40, 42 acres in an hour. That is crazy. Like,
and then what if you have a hose blow?
then you're really slowed down. Yeah. That's
you go to zero pretty quick.
Yeah. That's the thing, man. Like if everything will hold, it's like, man, you can burn some ground up. But
well, and on the weather update, looking like Saturday afternoon, maybe like late afternoon, like around 5 o'clock or so. That was 2 different weather apps. Now,
okay.
Of course, if they're off by just a few hours,
yeah. Well,
you might get all day Saturday, or you may only get to plant till noon. But
yeah. I'm on. Well, that's what. See if I can plant.
If you can get some done tomorrow and then finished up on Saturday,
that'd be nice. That'd be nice because I'm not sweating it yet, except for these beans because they're early beans. I've got them contracted for August.
So, and I asked this kind of out of ignorance, but so it's still possible you'll be able to get them out in August because you were going to have to terminate them anyway.
Yes. Yeah. I'll go in and kill them. So
once they're mature, just I guess for the listener, so that they go ahead and dry down.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the crop is made, and the plant's still, green, or it takes it several more weeks to dry down to harvesting.
Yeah,
levels.
I will be. Yeah, I mean like you said, the plant itself would have just been farther along,
right.
Had I been able to plant it. Because I mean we're talking nearly a month difference, almost 28 days, 29 days difference. But the temperature's also I'm really like it's good and bad because the temperature has not been good for us on the soil. Really, we've had some cool. I mean, it was 48 degrees this morning.
Oh, it was 40 yesterday morning, wasn't it?
Something, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Which I just saw when I was looking at some of the updates, like Iowa and some of them places, they're getting freezes and stuff.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. Like I said, 40, we weren't too terribly far from being at risk of a frost last night, several degrees, but you wouldn't have to go too far north of us to where I'm sure they were.
Yeah.
A frost warning.
Yep. So that's the plan. I might try to do that. If I don't plant, I'm gonna try to get on the bulldozer. So I mean, I got a couple different avenues now. It's kind of nice to not be just like you said, just getting hammered with rain for a change. But now, I want a good blend, man. I don't want it to be one of those things where the rain just stops.
Let you run for 4 or 5 days, have a good soaking rain after a day. Take a couple days, get it dry back out. Yeah. Get back in the tractor. Then.
And that's what, and like it's actually it's nice when it's like that too, because as much as you're like, man, I want to just, like in theory, you're like, man, if I could get 30 days with no rain, I could plant everything and be done.
And none of it would come up.
Yeah. And it's like, but man, yeah. And so, and it is nice when you do get some of those rainy days sprinkled in there, because when we start planting, I mean, we pretty much don't quit until it rains us out. And so, it is nice if you can get every few days, like, even if it's like every 6 or 7 days, you get a good soaking rain where you're like, all right, you get a day or two downtime, and then you're back at it. Because, farming is a funny thing. I actually went yesterday. Went to the liquor store, and I was in there talking to the guy, and I said, farming.
Supporting your corn farmers.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Because they use that in bourbon for sure. So yeah, supporting my corn farmers, and I guess do they use a little? Not wheat. They don't use wheat in that. What else do they use in bourbon?
Oh shoot, I'm no bourbon expert.
I got you. Well,
I'm an expert on the consumption end,
yeah,
not the manufacturing.
yeah. Well, that's what me and him were talking, and he was like, "You planted anything yet?" And I said, "Man, not yet." I said, "I hadn't yet." And I said, farming is a weird thing. Like, being a small farmer, I work enough to make a living, but I also work less or not enough acres to be constantly consumed. So like I have good downtime. I have a lot of like it's the typical thing. I do get that like burnout of where you're just during planting time. By the time we finish planting, I can't wait to not be planting anymore. And it's like by the time we get into harvest, I can't wait to like by the time we get done, I can't wait to be out of the combine because you're in it for so long. But I said farming is one of them weird things where you have like this downtime so much that I was like, you almost get a little lazy. So it takes you like a minute to like get back into the groove and kind of going. But I'm ready to be rolling. Which speaking of, there was one thing I was going to ask you. Get curious your thoughts on this. Are livestock guys? Would you say livestock farmers are typically more early risers than row crop farmers?
I don't know. I feel like for the most part, probably. Now, I do it because I absolutely have to, because I do it on the side. And like with livestock, it is every day. Like, I mean, you just, I don't, I'm trying to think if would be any form of livestock where it wouldn't be just an everyday thing.
Yeah.
Every now and then here lately, and it's actually mostly been on the weekends because of our softball tournaments. I've made comments on my YouTube videos that I did not lay eyes on all the cows on a particular day.
Yeah.
Usually it's because we're leaving before daylight, get home after dark. But I do probably the bulk of my chores early in the, I don't know, I say that, but like when we leave here, when we get done recording this morning, it's going to be, now we're finally at the time of year where it'll be starting to get daylight. So I've already got feed in my Jeep. I'm headed straight to the farm stocker steer. So I don't know. I like to go ahead and get out there early and get stuff done.
Yeah.
Even like on a Sunday morning or like a Saturday when we aren't, loading up to go away to play ball, it's if I sleep in, and when I say sleep in, I don't feel like I'm trying to brag or something. It's like 6 or 6:30.
Yeah.
And like you wake up and it's already daylight. It's just like dread hits me. It's like I will never catch up. And that's and I do as I'm getting older, and it does start to grind and wear on you. I'm like, man, I don't know that I want to have this lifestyle the rest of my life. Where I feel like, and that's where I could see where you could get burnt out on it.
Yeah.
But I do like my ideal day, like if it's, a Sunday morning or whatever, is I get up, I'm drinking my coffee. I do like to read the good book every morning. Just for a few minutes. And then when I'm stepping outside, it's just then getting daylight. Like I want to maximize every minute of daylight I can.
Yeah.
And so
I get that, man. I do think that probably like you say, the livestock guys are more early risers, typically, like I said, because they probably have to be in a lot of elements.
Yeah, I'd like to think, if I was full-time, like if I was doing well enough at it where I did not have a day job, I probably wouldn't, because, I would have all day to get my stuff done. Now, if I was big enough to where, I didn't have to have my day job, though, I'd probably have so much more to do.
Yeah.
I might still have to make sure I was out there right at first light, but, I don't know. I feel like, because our granddad was notorious. He was up. I don't even know what time he got up every morning.
Yeah.
But he would be in bed at, not long after dark. And that was me last night. I was getting the kids in bed. It wasn't even really good and dark outside. Like as soon as I got them in bed, took the dogs out, set the coffee pot for this morning, and I was in bed before 9 o'clock.
Well, That's one of the things that there's an older man out here. You and I both know him well, and he used to always brag about his son. Uh, well, I won't reveal too many details, but just because it was kind of funny. But he'd always be like, "Yeah, so and so left it. He rolled out this morning at 3:30," and I'd be like, "What time did he go to bed?" And he's like, "Well, he goes." I mean, he'd kind of like start kind of sidestepping a little bit. Then he'd be like, "Well, I mean, he goes to bed about 7:30," and I'm like, "Well, golly, yeah. If I went to bed at 7:30, I could get up at 3 o'clock and roll on out."
Yeah, I mean, it's all about you. Yeah, you just need to get whatever amount of sleep you require. But
Like I'm not. That's my problem. I mean, I like to an ideal day for me. I do enjoy beating the sun up. Like that is nice because I like it's kind of quiet and everything is like,
well,
you know,
I just feel more productive. Like even if
yeah,
I'm not, which I don't know, I've heard people say you can get more done between 5 and 9 a.m. than any other 4 hours of the day.
yeah,
I'm like, that might be true because yeah, you get out into town. I don't know something. I guess it's like the dad in me or whatever. Like when you're, especially on the weekend, when you're out and like I'm already in town and it's like just after daylight and there's no traffic. You just feel like hell yeah, like
yeah,
I beat all these people out. Like these people are still in bed and I'm already getting stuff done.
yeah.
Just
Oh yeah,
it's kind of a I don't know, it is like a bragging rights or you feel like you're really accomplishing something.
yeah. Well, and I probably for me, see, probably ideal time though would be, and I mean it'd be, man, I don't know, getting up around 6 or 6:30 because I can stay up about as late as I want to and still get up at that time.
Well, and like it's the whole internal clock thing. I guess it was yesterday morning because you and I recorded for Living Fully Loaded Monday night, so I
Yeah.
stayed up a lot later than I normally do. And then I had to haul steers Tuesday morning, so I got up even a little earlier than I normally do. So I got like 4 or 5 hours of sleep at night, and so
Were you dragging?
I was dragging all day, and then Monday night I got in bed kind of early, and then Tuesday I get up 4:30 to 5. I was like, I'm sleeping until 5:30 this morning.
Yeah.
I'll be behind, but that's fine. I'm just gonna get a little extra sleep. I woke up at 5:06.
Yeah.
I remember I rolled over. I looked at because the alarm was set for 5:30.
Yeah.
But yeah, my body was just like, no, dude, you're not supposed to be here.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's, I've got to find that like good blend because that's kind of, like I said, we recorded Monday night and then Brandon Meyer and I did a rundown episode the following night. And like we recorded at night and I was showing him like some of my guns. We were talking, shooting the breeze. I didn't go to bed till like almost 1 o'clock. And then I had to get up. I don't know. I think I got up about 7 yesterday. I was like, I'm not getting up super early. So I got up around 7 and I had to take the kids to the dentist. And then, so I'm like, my sleep has been, I was like thinking about it this morning, actually, when I was waking up, I'm like, I have got to get a better balance on my sleep.
Well, I struggle with that quite a bit, to the point where, yeah, I guess it was Tuesday after we had done that Monday night. I was like, I cannot keep doing this, and I was already looking forward to. It's like Wednesday. I know I'm gonna have to go into the office Wednesday morning, which means I've got Wednesday afternoon to catch up on stuff on the farm, and I'm like, I'm gonna try to carve out like an hour to maybe even take a nap.
Yeah,
I didn't even come close to having an opportunity to do that. I ran around like a chicken with my head cut off until right at the moment it was time for me to get kids or pick up one kid yesterday afternoon and go home and work on supper.
Yep.
Get them in bed and do it all over again.
Yeah. Well, it is, I think the best time I found for me, I could still go to bed at like 10, I think probably about 10 and get up at 5:30. And like, I felt pretty good.
Oh yeah. That's 7.5 hours. Oh yeah. That would be.
Cause see, I bet you I probably average 5 to 6 hours of sleep a night.
Yeah.
And I mean, which is terrible, like that's, like,
right. I can do good at that as long as I'll then have that one night where, I just go to bed at like 8:30 and get up at 5 or 5:30. Yeah. And so that's not totally catching up, but it kind of resets me a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I do.
Now, what do you do when you go on vacation? like out of town vacation?
I don't sleep.
See, I'm still, it's like if we travel with somebody, like I'm the dude that my wife gets mad at me. She's like,
Because you wake up too early?
well, she don't even really care when I wake up because she's gonna stay in bed. But
Yeah.
it's now I am the one that like I do feel like I'm missing something if I'm not up making coffee. You know, I'll sit around and relax, but I want to, as the sun's coming up, kind of thing. But like we'll be hanging out with friends or whatever that a lot of times we don't see very often.
Oh, and you go to bed early.
And it's like 8:30, and I'm like over there like yawning. Or we went to the beach on the kids' fall break, and like I'd be asleep on the couch while everybody's hanging out.
Oh no, I'm the opposite there because I mean, like when we went to Gatlinburg, I have I think I've mentioned on here I have insomnia sometimes.
Yeah.
And I get it awful when we travel. And I don't know, like we went to Gatlinburg for I don't know 5 days or 6 days or something. I probably averaged about 2 hours of sleep a night.
Good gosh. Yeah. See, I wouldn't go on vacation anymore because
Well,
I do kind of catch up when we're on vacation because
I wish I would. That's what but I never know. Like that's kind of what I was expecting. I was like maybe because I love Gatlinburg, like it's one of my favorite places. I'll go and sleep great. And I went and I took melatonin with me. I was kind of like preparing because like man, when I travel, I'm out of my zone. So I took melatonin. The first night I took 5 milligrams, and I got in bed and I read some of actually the Jack Carr's book, and because reading at night will usually help kind of just my mind never shuts off, and so reading kind of helps. Man, I read and I read and I read and I read and I read, and like so finally by like
picked up another book.
Yeah, finally by like I don't know, probably 2:00 in the morning, I just put the book down and just
Good
was
Lord,
like
yeah.
laying there. And I mean, I just laid there, and I think I typically wouldn't, it never fails. What'll happen is I will finally doze about 4:30 in the morning. And then I get up just shortly thereafter. But, the next night I took 10 milligrams. The next night I took 15. I think I took 20 milligrams the last night, and I still like didn't sleep. So
Yeah, it just has no effect on you.
no, I mean, I'm going to take some gummies next time and eat some dadgum gummies and see if it chills me out.
Yeah. That's something I've never really struggled with. I've had trouble, like sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night.
And just
I'll
be
have
awake.
I'll have like an hour left to go back to sleep. But my mind will start going, and then I'm like, damn it, I might as well get up.
Yeah.
But
Oh, I envy that. That's how Marcy, she's like her dad. He can sit on the couch for 45 seconds and he's asleep. And Marcy, that's how typically when her head touches the pillow, she is gone in just a little bit. And I greatly envy people that can sleep well.
But yeah, I've never really had a lot of trouble there. If I pick up a book, because I've got one that sits on my nightstand, I read a lot at night. I'll shoot. A lot of times I'll only get 3 or 4 pages, and then I'm like, I just want to get done with this page.
Yeah.
Drop my bookmark in, and I'll be done tonight. And I'll doze off 4 or 5 times trying to read one freaking page.
Now that is how I'll do. Like if most nights, and what I think biggest problem for me probably is I have no routine on that. Like because when I get in a steady routine, I'll usually sleep good. And that's, yeah. I think that's part of why when I go out of town, I'm jacked up, because I'm like, I'm in a foreign area and I'm out of my routine.
Right.
And so, and I honestly would argue, or say, I tell people, I really think a lot of it has to do because of farmers, to me, a lot of them, not all of them, but like, a lot of them don't travel a lot, because they're so rooted. And then I'm also thinking about, same way you are, I got goats, I got chickens, I got this that needs to be done, I got that to be done. And so like when I go out of town on vacation, I mean, my mind is like, man, you're burning 5 or 6 days here, and what about your livestock? What about you? You need to be running the bulldozer. You need to be on the track hoe. You could be spraying. Like, that's how my mind is going.
Yeah. Yeah, and definitely the livestock, I run into that problem because I mean, like we just said, it's every day. And so when I go out of town, it's not like I can just put everything on pause and, we're not going to worry about it for a few days. I have to bother my dad or my brother or somebody. That's what we had talked. One of our listeners had reached out, and I still do plan on reaching out to him the next time I go out. I just hadn't been out of town.
Yeah. Does he
Well,
want to watch your animals for
he
you?
just said to help out. And I was like, man, where I could really usually is like when I'm out of town. And, right now, not even related to the farm, more the veterinary side of things. We are just so absolutely covered up, slammed, and shorthanded on top of that. Like I can't even hardly think about going anywhere right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so, I don't know, but you got to find a balance there too, because, you can't just totally let life go by. And having some balance.
That's what that's how. Again, that's the tough part with farming, man. I mean, I do think it consumes you. I mean, that's what I guess this episode we'll probably just. I'm not going to even explore the other topic at this point. This one can be like the early bird gets the worm episode. But, I do think it, because farming does become, I think it almost consumes you. Like when I talked to the guy that I was telling you we ought to have on the show the other day, when me and him were talking about it, we were just like, a lot of farmers, you'll see especially older farmers that never go anywhere. Like our grandfather, you mentioned him earlier. Man, Pawpaw never went on vacation.
No.
Very, very, like Dad would actually talk about like when they used to go to the beach. I mean, Pawpaw didn't go to the beach. Like he stayed. Like he never went on vacation. And like we've talked about other farmers that were older farmers, and it's like the only time they left the house was when they were going to the farm. Like that's the only place they went. And I always used to think like, man, I just never would want to do that. Never would want to be that way. And the older I'm getting, the more like if a vacation or something's coming up or I'm going out of town, I'm like dreading it.
Well, and I struggle with that because having kids and my kids, my youngest, of course, say all the time, the same age as your twins. And I'm just like, I want to go and do stuff. And like, you talk to other people and they're like, when it comes to what you want to spend your money on, do you want to travel or do you want to have, buy other things? Like, man, like really the experience of traveling appeals to me.
Yeah.
But it's like, I was talking to another person actually, not in ag, but it was similar. So when you think about going somewhere, the, months out, like the anticipation, the excitement of like, we can go, go on a snow skiing trip. Like, oh man, it's going to be awesome. You're looking it up. And then once it actually comes time to do it, it is almost more, I don't want to say dread, but it's just like, the amount of work it puts on you, to get everything ready so you can go. And then once you do go, the amount of work you got to catch up on when you get back, it's like, the joy in it is really more than just the
thought of it.
Yeah, the planning way in advance. And then when it actually comes, like, you hope once you get there, you enjoy it and whatnot. But my wife, she gives me the like, well, man, the kids are just going to go. And but I can remember my mom having that exact conversation with my dad. And, it's like, I mean, I guess you turn into your dad, I guess. But, because I want to go and do things, but it's like, man, it just, good gosh, it just creates so many headaches and logistical, hurdles. It's like, well, it would just, I can just stay home and y'all go ahead. I'll take care of things.
Yeah. That's how, that's what, I mean, that's pretty much how, like, I mean, that happens to us all the time because Marcy and them, she grew up going to the lake, and I didn't grow up going to the lake. Like we never went to the lake, and they go to Greer's Ferry, and I mean, again, I guess I don't know, stickler in me. I'm like, it takes 3.5 hours to get there. Like, I'm like, that just takes too long. And then like, I'll frustrate her. I'll be like, that's just I'm not driving that far.
Yeah.
And
I've thought about this too. A lot of I say a lot of farmers, some of the bigger ones, the ones that have done well for themselves, of course, have houses on the Tennessee River around here.
Yeah.
And that's a little better. I
think it's about 2 hours or something.
Depending on where they're going, 1.5 to 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but I've thought about that. And my kind of theory is why they do that is just like we're talking, they're planting. I guess lake season kind of officially starts Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Traditionally, a lot of folks are still getting a crop in, especially if they've got any double crop. They're getting wheat to get out and then beans to plant. But when it comes to farming, like it sets into raining, all of a sudden they've got 2 or 3 days where they can't do anything. Well, you're not going to pack up and drive to the beach.
Yeah.
But you can get away to the lake for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that's accurate at all or why, but
probably
having a place at the lake is good to get away for even a night maybe. And
some of those guys probably realize if they don't go away, they're going to find work to do.
Yeah, you can't do a staycation. I mean,
No.
that is no.
No, like that's because Marcy and them, like I was going to say, they go to the lake, and I mean and now it ain't nothing, and she's like, we're going to go to the lake so-and-so date. I'm like, 10-4. And I mean, I'll be like, I'll hold the fort down. And like, I mean, I usually will try to go with them like 1 or 2 times a year to it, which again, I don't like the drive. I'm like a turd, I guess, on the drive. Cause I mean, it's not a hard drive. Like it's actually a pretty easy drive, but it just takes so darn long. I'm like, hell, I could be in Nashville by now. Like, but I don't want to go to Nashville. I'd much rather go to Greer's Ferry than I would go to Nashville. But no, I'm with you, man. And I guess it's kind of interesting to share this because to me, it kind of shows there's a lot of elements that go into being a farmer. Like it's not something, I guess if you had no livestock at all, like you might be I don't even think that it'd be even better then because like I said, I don't have a lot of livestock. But I do still have to line up somebody to take care of my goats and my few little cows I do have. And so, I mean, even that does weigh on you. But the biggest thing is there is always something that you could be doing. And like, I mean,
that's my list that I keep on my phone. I've got some stuff that's been on there for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to get this project done when I have a chance.
Yep. Yeah. That's how like, I mean, any day that I'm like, if it's dry enough and I'm like not doing anything, I always am thinking about the farm in Bolton because I got about 90 acres left to clear. And it's so monotonous of clearing. But so I mean, the farming aspect, it's not like a normal job. Like when I was a machinist, when I was off work, the last thing I was thinking about was what I was doing at the machine shop.
Right.
Like when the weekend came, I wasn't like, damn it, the machine needs to be set up. I'm going to have to do that on Monday. Like I was like, couldn't even remember what was going on. Yeah. But now farming, yeah, you can't, it's not like a flip switch. You can turn it on and turn it off. I mean, you're in it or you're not. So I think it's a good element to share because it's not your normal, it's not a normal job, and it does make elements difficult. Like, and I'm like you, I do. Like, I actually texted Marcy the other day, and it's funny. Again, we just blasted the government, but I told her, I was like, I would like to go to D.C. again, and I haven't been since we went with the school in like 8th grade.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't care about going to D.C. And I said, I want to go just for the history aspect of it, and I might want to shake Joe Biden's hand or something.
Yeah.
Like he would,
yeah.
or Kamala.
Yeah. Well, she'd probably remember it. He wouldn't. I've thought about that too, but like I'm obviously a country boy and I like going to the mountains and places like that, but I've thought, there's a lot of big cities I've never been to. Like, I'd like to go there just because you hear about certain restaurants that are there. Whatever.
Have you been to New York City?
Never been. I've always said I wanted to go, and then with COVID, I'm like, I don't know when I'll ever want to go again.
Yeah.
Because I have no interest in going anywhere that's going to act like a bunch of
idiots,
jerks and idiots over that stuff. Which you may have been reminded too. Our school, they put something on social media yesterday. Apparently, the 8th grade is there now.
In New York?
No, Washington, D.C.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like you. I went once in 8th grade, and it was, I kind of remember it, but
that's how
they try to pack it into like 3 days, and it's like you just drive past a bunch of stuff like
You know,
Yep, there's the Lincoln Memorial.
yeah, that's I wish that they would take you as like a junior or
Yeah,
a
it looks a
senior,
little
even
older.
be like a senior field trip. Because the only thing I remember, the main thing I remember about the Washington D.C. trip was we talked to a guy that was one of the like Capitol Police, and he had like an HK, uh, just a badass little like pistol tile like submachine gun, and like that's the only thing I remember. I was like, man, this dude's got a cool
I
gun.
don't remember a whole lot of it either, but when I was looking at those pictures, and again, we talked about it on Living Fully Loaded, how like around here, like you can go a whole day or even days where you forget that COVID was ever a thing.
Yeah,
And like in like bunch of the pictures, like they had their mask on, and I was like, shit.
yeah.
Like I don't want to go somewhere and have that just wet blanket thrown right on top of.
Yeah.
Like
See, if you like history, that's why I want to go back to DC,
oh yeah,
and that's what, like, dude, New York City. I mean, and yeah, I'm a country boy.
historically,
I
yeah.
love New York City,
Well,
like,
just the restaurants and all alone,
and it was cool because it was a completely different element.
oh yeah,
Like, I mean, and we were there when Marcy and I went. We were there for like, hell, it was like 6 days or 7 days or something. Like, I even was like, because we walked just about everywhere. So I mean, I was pretty familiar with New York City. Like I'd be like, all right, we take this avenue and we'll hit this avenue and we go down
See,
here.
and that's what I haven't done a lot of running this year, but when I was running more, I loved going out of town, and I loved running when I was out of town because I'd get up early
Yeah,
and like yeah, you get to see things so much when you're walking or when you're just on foot, and like oh yeah, I would explore like when we'd be in cities and
yeah,
like once the family would get up later in the day, be like oh yeah, we need to go eat lunch over here at this place,
yeah.
just around the corner and whatnot.
Oh,
But
the food was bad to the bone. People, and it was funny, man. You know, some people were like, "Oh man, it's a bunch of jerks in New York City," and everybody was as nice as could be. Which now
sure.
we did go. We went in 2015, so I mean, it was way before COVID.
Yeah.
But like everyone was nice. No one was from New York City. Like I don't think I met a New Yorker in New York. But I mean, it was really awesome. And that's what, I mean, when we were planning the trip at the time, actually, I was still a machinist. So that maybe that's how I was like, my mind, cause I went and I slept fine in New York City, aside from the honking horns. Like the horns never stop honking.
Really?
Yeah. It's like the traffic is an absolute nightmare. Like, we rode in a taxi like one time. We went to the New World Trade Center. We accidentally went into the World Trade Center, and I was like, I don't think we're where we're supposed to be, because like we saw where they built the new one. We were going to the 9/11 memorial,
Right.
and we walked into this thing, and you go like down these steps, and I'm like, I don't know where we're going. And we went down these steps, and it was like people with carrying briefcases and in suits and stuff, like walking through here. And then it'd be security with like ARs and stuff. And I told Marcy, I was like, I don't think we're supposed to be down here. Like, this is obviously like, we were actually in the like trade center.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we are just tourists. We're not supposed to be here. So we turned around and got out of there.
Yeah.
But, no, that was, and again, yeah, that was I was still, because we went there on our honeymoon. Because I was a weirdo. She wanted to go somewhere tropical, and I was like, because it was in January. We got married, and I was like, let's go to New York City.
Yeah.
So, but the cool part, it was seeing the places. Like, I saw places where, I mean, we rode the little carriage in Central Park, and the dude was like, that building right there was in Ghostbusters too. Like when the thing attacks, and I mean, Central Park, their stuff. So all the history parts are cool, but yeah, as a farmer now, I don't know, man, I do plan on going back. But it's just traveling is not, it's just not easy to do.
Well, that's right. And when I go somewhere, like when you mentioned going for several nights, that's our thing too. Like 3 nights is kind of my sweet number.
Yeah.
4, like, because if you're going somewhere very far, like you got to go, it doesn't make sense. But that's what we're kind of planning our summer vacation for the family. And I'm looking like being gone like maybe 6 or 7 nights.
Whew.
And like right now, it's like, okay, it's several months away. I'm like, yeah, it'd be good.
Yeah.
And then as we get closer, yeah, I'm liable to like trim it way down.
Yeah, I'm already cringing for you. 6 or 7 nights. That sounds like a long time.
Don't ruin it for me yet. But now one quick thing that is kind of a local, or not a local, a current news event I was going to mention.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because heck, I guess we are running on time.
Well, it's something we've talked about. It's that the Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act. It went before the Senate on, I guess, Tuesday, had the hearings there.
Yeah.
And then the House on Wednesday of this week. I actually watched some of the Senate hearings. And it was, I guess, because obviously I'm plugged into it pretty closely. It was pretty interesting, which the Senate was always where they felt like the support was there, won't have much trouble getting through.
Yeah.
The House, a little more, I won't say concerned, but not the certainty of having the votes to pass the House aren't as great. I did not get to watch any of that yesterday, but I don't know, that's still going on. I don't, obviously it hasn't come up for vote yet. We don't know how it's going to go, but it was interesting. It's interesting seeing some of these politicians and how they come out on it.
Yeah.
And like some of them come out against it and you're like, what?
There's probably some Republicans against it, I would say.
Oh yeah. That's one thing that they pointed out. It's like, we really need to get this done before the midterms, because obviously with the way things have gone the last couple of years, you expect the midterms, the House is probably going to, shift pretty hard.
Yeah.
And, red. And so, yeah, when you're talking about a bill that is talking about more government control over the industry, which kind of I'm conflicted when it comes to that. Like, you probably don't want it in front of a strongly Republican House. So I don't know, that's a current event issue. That'll kind of be one we keep touching on here and there until we see if it passes or not. But
that's the thing. I mean, and heck, I mean, if worst case, our video might cut out at 45 minutes, we'll still be recording on here. So if all of a sudden it goes dark on YouTube, don't freak out. That's what it was 2 days ago. I just pulled it up. That chick that's telling you about she's a 4th generation dairy farmer. And she said she's worried about the future of agriculture. And she actually mentioned the 4 meat packers controlling the prices. Like she mentions that on Tucker Carlson, which I don't really like what they did. I like Tucker Carlson, but like you could tell they were probably like, all right, you're going to have 30 seconds and we're going to cut it up into, like, Tucker's going to ask you like 3 different segments of questions, but total time is going to be 30 seconds. So he'd be like, so tell us about this. And she'd be like, well, so first of all, as a generational farmer, I've been doing it. And like, and it's like rapid fire. And I'm like,
well, I think that's why a lot of people have gravitated like towards podcasts.
Yeah.
Because you can have longer form conversations, really breaking down issues. But, and talking about like the big 4, I believe in front of the House, at least they were invited. I'm not sure if they all sent representatives, but had them invited to come in and testify.
Oh, really?
In front of the Senate, they had, of course, there was a few people that were against it. There was a few people that for it. The 2 that were for it were just cattle farmers, ranchers.
Yeah.
One that was against it was a feedlot operator. I'm trying to remember who the other one was. And
must have been a big feedlot operator.
It was, and it. I mean, he had a good story and he made some good points, but I think you could counter most of them and be like, dude, that even if this passes, like, you can still do business the way you're doing it.
Yeah.
But I don't think, but like he's been in a very, kind of one track way they do things. And, I don't know. I think you got to kind of look at the bigger picture too, but, and there's certain groups in certain states that are really hardcore. Like, I mean, they're backed by the big meat packers. And so, anything to do with the big meat packers is against it. The NCBA has been completely against it. But their whole the thing that pisses you off with them is that they agree that something needs to be done. They've said that something's got to be done. They've said they're gonna do something.
But they've offered no solutions.
Yeah, all they're like is like, yeah, we don't like this idea. Like, well,
what's your better one?
Like you literally said that if these certain parameters are met, that you would agree we need a policy to fix these problems. and like you're coming up with nothing.
Yeah.
And then whenever somebody else does come up with something that is a compromise, then you're like, no, not for that one. But all it is, they're basically a mouthpiece for the big four.
Oh yeah.
That was that. And one of actually the lawmakers that was talking about is like, pretty much he said, he's like, all right, you got some people that are saying this bill is, not nearly enough. It doesn't go nearly far enough to do near enough to fix the problems. You got other groups that are saying this goes way too far. It's way. He's like, so in my mind, he's like, it's probably just about right. That's kind of the definition of a compromise.
Yep.
Both sides kind of meet in the middle, and yes, that's why. Yeah, it seems like it should be a pretty good deal, and hopefully it'll get passed.
For sure. Well, that yeah. I mean, I guess we'll keep watching it and see what happens.
I'll give some updates. I don't know. It may be a few more weeks before we know anything. I don't really know how long it takes them to then vote on it. And then all that crap.
If it's like typical Washington government, it'd be pretty slow.
It is a literal act of Congress.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Well, all right. Well, that's I think we have run out of video time. That's what if someone's like, man, it's shorter, because actually a buddy of mine the other day was like, man, I wish y'all's episodes were longer on Talk Dirt to me.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, we don't have time. But I like the time we do them. But we are going to have to cut this one a little short because we have run out of video.
I can pick my nose now.
Yeah. Yeah, you can. You're safe. I think, unless the card switched over, but I see a thing flashing. I don't think it did. It used to do that. I don't know why I don't flip over no more. So I got the company today for us. It's a little different. I was trying to think of something like, what's something that could be utilized by us, and it's something I've used a good bit, and that is Minnesota Trapline products. They make the MB 550, MB 750, 650, 750s, whatever. All these different, they're traps, like leg hold traps for coyotes, coons. They make all kinds of them. MB stands for Minnesota brand. It's all made in Minnesota. And they're awesome traps. And I was actually reading here, they started in 1978 by a husband and wife, and it's grown now. They actually purchased the Bridger Trap Company. Most people are familiar with Bridger Traps, and they purchased it in 2010. But the MB 550s are awesome, and they got a night latch on them I really like. You can kind of like click it down, so it's like a hair trigger. So I encourage people to check out the Minnesota brand traps.
Hey, yeah, if you got a pest problem, some raccoon, I don't know whether he's getting in your bin full of corn or hey, maybe he's just getting in your trash bin outside your house. You can get rid of him. Yep.
MB 550 is like all around. You can use it for like anything. So check them out. Minnesota brand or Minnesota Trapline products, and you can see they got all kinds of different traps. You won't go wrong with them. So that's all I got. I will say, as usual, if you watch this, please hit the thumbs up on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. Share it with your friends. If you listen, leave us a rating and a review, and also share it with your friends.
Yep. We'll talk to you again next week.
Take it easy.